Welcome back to the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast. We are so happy to have you here today. I have a special guest today that we recently were introduced by a good friend, Katie, right? We were just figuring that. I was like trying to remember who it was that introduced us. This is Shonna. She is an educator for L'Oreal, a Redken specialist. And she's also a behind the chair stylist who is now an advanced education educator. And we are just going to talk about all things hair today. We're going to talk about how she went from behind the chair to doing education and kind of what she's been doing now to keep herself busy. We are still, this is California, if you're not in San Diego or local. We are still in our second shutdown. I think we've been closed more this year than we've been open.
5 months.
5 months. So we are in my empty salon, and we're just going to talk all things hair, and we're going to bring you along for the ride. So hi.
Cool. Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about your journey in the hair industry. So you've been doing hair how long?
I mean, I started when I was 10.
Yeah, me too.
So a little over 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so did you start off as an assistant, or did you know right away you wanted to go to beauty school after high school? Was there an in-between there?
No, I started a little, I guess technically like older.
Okay.
I was 21, 22 at the time.
Yeah, super old.
So, and, I think I had a calling for it. I just was really resistant towards it.
Why do you think that is?
I think because there was this persona of like the hairdressers that, didn't take it seriously.
Wow.
Right?
You know what's so crazy about you just saying that sentence? That's actually, so I have a list of questions that I always want to touch on. Those are like the original questions I put together for this podcast. And that's actually one of the top 10 questions that were meant to be like a rapid fire that I have with people. But sometimes I sit down and I get really excited and we just go left. And so that was one of the things, was the myths about our industry as to why people don't take it seriously, which my mom was one of them. She did not want me to go to beauty school. She was like, I'll pay for you to go to medical school for fucking 10 years, but I won't pay $7,000 for you to go to beauty school.
Yeah, I think that hairstylists it was like a bad name back then.
People didn't, it wasn't a serious career.
No, like you see, like I always think of Steel Magnolias. Yeah. I love that movie,
Me
but
too.
The kitchen hairdresser, like smoking the cigarette and just gossiping all day long.
Leaving your foils in for 3 hours.
That's what it was about.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was this whole world of really passionate, like-minded people that were super professional,
So what was your introduction? So you went to school. Did you go to school? Are you from San Diego?
I am from San Diego.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
And we're like a rare breed, right?
Yeah.
Well, we grew up like 2 doors down from each other.
Where did you grow up?
East County in Santee.
Okay. I grew up in San Diego. I went to Mission Bay High School.
Okay. So I now live over there. All I wanted to do when I was growing up was to get over there. So you went to beauty school. Where did you go to school?
At San Diego City College.
Okay, beautiful.
What about you?
J Boutique, which is now I think one of the Bella schools or something like that.
Yeah,
But it was hood. But it got the job done, right? Because beauty school is meant to get you through sanitation processes. Gavin Newsom.
I was just gonna say
we know how to clean some shit, all right? And we know how to keep people safe.
Back then it was like they don't teach you how to be a hairdresser. They teach you everything about sanitation and health.
Yeah. The body. Like we had to learn how to do nails. We had to learn the funguses that could happen if you didn't clean your implements properly. Like down to the the craziest things that could happen to your scalp if you didn't clean certain things and do certain, it's wild to look back because I think that hasn't been an issue for so many years. It's just part of what we do. That people just assume that that's normal, but the things, the list that they came out with, like, we already do all of that stuff.
And then some.
And then some. Yeah, right? And then some now for sure. Okay, so then you get into a salon. How did you know where you wanted to go when you graduated?
I think back then it was just a calling. Like, I went to school and it was one of the instructors. Her name was Sudi. And they would get referrals from salons wanting apprentices. Okay. And back then, that's what it was. You did an assistant or apprenticeship program. And I went and worked for this, her name was Shonna Keeley. So, and her mom is an iconic hairdresser here, Karen Angel.
Oh, cool.
So that's how I got involved with a ton of education is through them.
That's amazing.
So,
I think when you're so lucky to get into a situation like that right out of school, that makes such a big difference in your career. Yeah. My mom was like, if you're going to go to beauty school and when you graduate, we're putting you in the best school or the best salon in San Diego. So she
Where did you start?
She started to get her hair done at Robert Cromie's downtown just so we, had an in to get, something. I don't know what she thought she was doing for me, but she saw in hindsight that I was taking it seriously. And so she did want to help in the end. And I think a few people from my school had gotten hired there. So luckily I got hired there. And that foundation that I learned, and that's, that sets you up to win. I think a lot of people, not to say that if you smart in a smaller salon that you can't have a great thriving career, because you totally can, but when you get put off on the right foot, that shows, that you take your career seriously, the professionalism, all of that, like you really set yourself up to win.
Yeah. No, I mean, I got lucky, I guess, I just fell into the right network of people, because they worked for TG, as ambassadors way back in the day when we had ASV here, And, she taught me everything that she knew. And then she's like, you need to go up to Orange County and go work for Tony and Guy.
Okay.
And so that was my educational foundation.
Wow.
Which, we all know Tony and Guy is well known for their education, right?
Right.
And I started from the bottom again. I literally went through a training with them and then went up there thinking that I was just going to get a chair, go on the floor. And I didn't. I, was scrubbing the baseboards like I was earning my right to become a hairdresser. And I was like, this is not what I planned.
So funny. I literally just had this conversation with Anthony Edge. He was our last, these are in order of how we're recording them. I think they will be. He was just sharing that same story. And that's not like just a Tony and Guy thing. Like Robert Cromie's was doing the same thing. We were mopping the floors with the towels and all the things. So, that laying that foundation of, like Anthony was saying, like if you're a clean hairdresser, you're going to do clean hair, and that's usually who's the most successful. Because if you can do something in the system, you are going to be able to teach that system to somebody else. Yeah. And so those make the best educators. So little did you know that scrubbing those floors was going to make you such an amazing educator.
It's like Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Wax up. What a great analogy. I love that. Yes.
Right? In order to earn your right to be a really amazing hairdresser.
Yes.
And when you're young, you don't really see it. But as you mature and,
look back,
you're like, oh, okay, this all made sense. And this is what led me to where I am,
Right.
So
where are you now? What are you currently up to?
Okay. So I'm a full-time educator for Redken.
Cool.
So I get to inspire, teach hairdressers all day long. And,
see how she got it lit up right there? Like, I love that. Like, you still have so much passion. I know, your little smile. Yeah, it's awesome.
I feel extremely lucky, and the reason why I got into education is because in this industry we just inspire each other. Everybody is so passionate, and so just because I'm out there teaching other hairdressers, I also get something back from them because I want them to share what they know.
Right.
So it's not just like I'm telling them what I know, we're also sharing information with each other, and that's what's so cool about it. Because we don't keep secrets. If I know something that's going to help you be successful, I'm going to share it. Right. And vice versa with that. So
that's huge. And I've always found, having assistant after assistant coming up, as I taught them, it allowed me to remember things and to reteach myself, because when you go back to the basics, which is the foundational skill set, we sometimes forget those things, and it's easy to skip over them, and you wonder why sometimes your work isn't as good as it used to be, or things aren't working out the way it used to be business wise. So when you put things back the way they're supposed to be and then work off of that, you're better set up for success. So what is your favorite thing to teach? Do you have a favorite technique or something that you love to teach?
I mean, I'm a color specialist at heart. Like, that's my true passion. But right now I'm really obsessed with social media. I think that
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
And so I have been working the last year and a half on organically growing my social media, right? Because I was the one with the arms crossed. I don't need it, right? Because 20 years ago it was the best way to gain new guests was a referral. Yep.
Guerrilla marketing. You saw somebody cute with cute hair, you walked up to them and you gave them your card. Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah, but I go into salons every day, and I see all these younger hairdressers that are coming right out of cosmetology school with almost a full book of guests because their social media is so prevalent, and so Redken has a class. We have content, a ton of content. We have an Instagram and social media team.
Okay. You teach other people how to do.
So it was actually cool because a year and a half ago, Redken came out with Social Media Obsessed. Okay. So we actually teach that as part of our core discipline of classes now.
It's just one of the foundational skills now.
Right. And I'm like, I can't go and educate hairdressers on social media if I'm not walking the walk. Right.
Adapt or die. It's literally like the fucking theme of this year. You either fucking figure it out and or you get out of here.
I'm going to use that. Adapt or die. Because I always say nothing grows from being in the shade.
No.
Right? And we're being stretched.
Mold. That's what grows.
Yeah.
Mold. Stinky old mold. And if you want to be a moldy old... No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Totally.
We haven't laughed on that one. But it's so true. It's like, I was just like you. I did not even have a hair page. I had a fun Instagram page. I only liked to post whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And I think you could even tell I actually did hair on my page for the longest time. I think I've only had my hair page for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And even then, my goal isn't to build my book of business behind the chair. So mine's still pretty weak, so don't judge me. But when I see these kids, these young 20-something-year-olds with this crazy following, 100, and mind you, 100,000 followers on Instagram does not equate to more people in your chair if those aren't your target audience clients.
100%.
So learning to speak to who you want in your chair is definitely, that's one of the foundational skills I teach in the 6-Figure Stylist course. But it's so nice to hear that you guys are teaching people how to actually use social media to grow their Instagram.
Right, because we always say you don't have
or their
to
business,
have 100,000 followers to be considered an influencer,
no.
Right? Because even if you have the right amount of followers, right, for whatever brand you're wanting to project out there, you're an influencer. You're influencing somebody, right?
And I think sometimes people don't realize, they're like, I don't want to be an influencer. But listen, you're an influencer to your clients. Whoever's sitting in your chair is your community, is your people. That's your niche. So if you do have a community and you are an influencer, so if you are using social media at all, you are an influencer. People are paying attention. Your clients love to come in and see, oh, that's a pretty necklace. Where did you get? Oh, I love your shoes. Yeah. Oh, that's a cute clip. They always want to see what you have on. They look to us to be kind of their light to what's out in the world, what's cool, what's hip.
Yeah, you're like their beauty guru.
There we go. Yeah. So was it Tony Gwynn that was, or Tony Robbins? I'm not your guru.
Oh yeah.
We are these people's lifeline, and especially right now for some people who haven't left their house. In the few weeks that we were able to work, I've never felt so appreciated in my life. Mm-hmm. People were over the moon. I was the first person they had seen. They hadn't gone anywhere, especially my older clientele.
Sure. It
was such a special moment to just really remember how much we do love this industry and how cared for we are too. So that's something right there that you could share on social media about how meaningful it is to be in this career. And when you share that with your clients and even coworkers and friends, that's just going to bring more of that to you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people think they have to post the same pretty hair picture, perfectly curled against the same wall. And that's an amazing Instagram. And while that content's great,
right,
I think we're going away from the perfectly curated Instagrams, and people want to see real behind the scenes. They want to see you working. They want to see you having some sort of education going on, right?
Mm-hmm. To be authentic to who you are. That's what I always say in my classes, is that if you're authentic to your true self and brand, that's what your guests want to see.
Right.
You're not posting for yourself, you're posting for them.
Right.
Right. So think about that. So yeah, I do see an amazing amount of content with perfectly curled hair, right? But is that what your audience wants?
Right.
And
that's one of the things, I feel like sometimes people look at the kind of clientele that they have and wish they had a different type of clientele. Right. Now you have to remember, if you're posting hair that isn't the hair that you want to be doing, that's confusing. People don't know that you would rather be doing Vivids, but yet here you're doing all these blonde balayage. You have to be putting out the work that you want to be doing. So if that means, well, shit, I don't have any clients like that, what do I do? You go get models. You ask people to model for you so you can do their hair if you have to do it for free, just so you have content to put on your page. Show yourself working on those type of people. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I love that you guys teach that, because I definitely could have used that course when it came to waking me up out of that I'm not going to do that. I don't need it. I'm a referral-based business. I don't need that. But I think if you're only getting new clients from one way, like that referral base, like you need them coming in from all areas. Let's be honest. We'd love to have people beating our door down to come see us.
Right.
Because what does that do? That increases your value, which then you can raise your prices. Right. And in the end, which is another thing I'm super big on, is working less but making more. Yeah. So that's the way you kind of grow in the industry, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say work smarter, not harder.
So what else do you guys offer with school? I'm sure this comes up too. People will probably talk to you guys about pricing and knowing when it's okay to raise their prices. Do you guys cover any of that? Do you get to talk to your clients or the students about that much?
I mean, we have business classes focused on retail and helping grow your business that way, because Redken is such a large brand, right? And pricing is so personal,
right?
You know, so we don't really touch on that. We can give recommendations, but as far as with Redken classes, we don't say like, oh, this is when you should, but we talk about add-on services, right? Really increasing your revenue without having another guest sit in your chair.
Taking full advantage of that one client, especially right now, because people haven't seen somebody in so long.
Right.
So they have more roots, more highlights need to be done. They definitely probably need a treatment, definitely need a haircut.
Absolutely.
So yes, however much services can be done on one person. And I think somebody was suggesting doing your consultations via Zoom or FaceTime, virtual, so that you could spend less time consulting with all the things that they need, know exactly what they need by the time they come in, so you have enough time to add all those services on.
Yeah, and it's really important to really connect, right? Connect with your guests, especially now with California being shut down again. Like, letting your guests know that you're thinking of them,
right,
adds value. They'll start to think about you, and with the virtual consultation, it's going to save you time. You know, it's really important to do, and also to look at that virtual consultation as a way to see what you're going to need inventory wise. Right. Yes. Because we don't know what we're going to walk into.
Totally.
You know, and then what's important for them to get done now, you know, and then maybe later, because you're going to need to fit in all your clients, you know, into a smaller time frame. So what do you need to focus on at that appointment, and then schedule them again for the works.
Perfect. Great. You know, so that's great advice. Yeah, right? Great advice. Definitely. Okay, so let's circle back, because I think we like brushed over the stigma that still kind of stands in this industry as far as like this being a career. What do you think sets stylists apart from those that take their career seriously versus those that you see that are just barely getting by?
Yeah, that's like that double-edged sword, right? I will say that whatever you put into it, you'll get out of it.
Yes.
Right?
That's nicely said. This is the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast, and where we speak freely. Now, I know we could do a little bubble and change your voice, but I feel like that's a really nice way to say it. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to work hard.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's for free. You know, I do see the more successful stylists invest in their brand, their business. They're constantly evolving and educating themselves.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's really key. Is
huge.
You know, to prevent from becoming stagnant, because you do see that. You know, the hairdresser that doesn't think that they need to, like, they know everything. That mentality.
Yeah, I've been there.
Right?
I was her once. Yeah.
Same, like we all have, you know. But really, when you take a class and you invest in your education, what does that do for you?
Right.
You know, it gets you re-inspired.
Totally.
You know, so.
And there's always something you can learn from every class, even if it's just like one thing.
Yeah.
And for me, showing up for education, even now, if it's having to be virtual, like, you still have the opportunity to meet people, and you never know what that next meeting or that next connection with someone is going to lead you to.
Yeah.
So if you don't take the chance to put yourself out there, you're depriving yourself of future things you could have in your life. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this podcast during this time for myself too. It's a little bit selfish, but like, I want to up-level my business in life. So I want to be around people who are doing big things like she is, and who are also then knows other people doing big things. So unless you step into the arena and you have something to offer too, it's hard to say, hey, I want to hang out with you guys, or hey, I want to pick your brain, or hey, can we have a chat, when, let's just say, she charges for her time to be able to have those kind of conversations. But here I am meeting her at her level, I have something to offer. So then she's more willing to share her information and educate me for free, because it's like all relationships are transactional at some point. You're either sharing money in order for the transaction to happen, or you're sharing information.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm providing a platform, and here, like it's one of those things. So I think what I've noticed the most too with stylists that are more successful than others is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
How much work are you willing to put in? Are you willing to do what some aren't for a short period of time, or for, a little bit of time, in order to reap those benefits? Because you can't just eat a salad and be skinny the next day.
Right.
Just like a donut's not going to make us fat tomorrow.
Right.
Like you can't just post on social media and be like, where are all my clients?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just do a couple decent clients and not talk about it.
You can't just go to one class and be like,
I know everything.
I'm done. I know everything. It's the same. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You have to put the work into it.
Totally.
What's that saying that they say? Like, you'll quit your corporate 40-hour-a-week job to become an entrepreneur, to work 80 hours a week.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's so true. It's so true. And like, that is exactly why I created the 6-Figure Stylist course. And you guys know I talk about it all the time, because a lot of us have fallen into this accidental entrepreneur. I can't even like claim that phrase, because my mentor came up with it, and that's what got me like, wait a second, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Like I didn't go to beauty school saying I want to own my own business. Now I may have said the words, I want to own my own salon, but I didn't follow it with the second sentence of I want to manage and take care of that business.
I think that's the
part
key.
we all miss. Yeah.
That's the key, is because anybody can own a salon.
Yep.
Right?
Or be a behind the chair, soulless, whatever.
Right. But really, how do you manage your business? Like, make it a business.
Right.
That's
they don't teach us that in beauty school. No. In our defense.
Yeah.
If we should have what we learned, and then we should have a second year of actual technical skills, and then we should have a third year setting us up for business.
Yeah.
Like in London, that's what Anthony was saying. It's a 3-year program in order to become like a master stylist educator.
Yeah.
And I should have asked him if they do business side of it too.
Right.
I doubt it, but I feel like that's been the missing component for anybody that I see in a service-based business like we do, not having those foundations set up for their business. They don't know how to run it. They don't know how to manage their time. They don't know how to like even take action on some of the things they want to get done in there. They don't know how to delegate things out.
Sure.
Right? Like you're just grinding behind the chair. You got a pocket full of cash at the end of the day. You've paid your bills and you're like, I'm good.
Yeah. And now it's all free money. Like a lot of hairdressers don't invest.
Right.
Right.
They don't have 401ks.
They don't have 401k. They don't, have medical. Right.
Yep.
And this is why we're kind of in this predicament with a lot of hairdressers, unfortunately, and it breaks my heart.
Same.
To see all these salons shutting down.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's why their salons are shutting down, right? Because I don't know what their financial status is or what they're invested in. But a lot of the times, it's unfortunate, because I've met tons of hairdressers, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that really create and treat it like a business are the ones that are more successful at it.
Right. And I think when you set yourself up as a business and you create a brand behind your business and you're pushed against the wall like we have been right now, I noticed those that didn't have that foundation to fall back on, it felt like they got bitch slapped. I mean, we all felt like we got bitch slapped when we were shut down, because it was like so many people were devastated. I only want to work behind the chair. I don't want to worry about all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
So they weren't able to pivot into other ideas like selling retail, doing virtual consultations, starting education if they've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Now it's free and everybody's like looking at their goddamn phones.
Right.
Like, now is the time to start that IGTV. Now is the time to figure out how to use YouTube. Now's the time to get someone's camera and set it up and start a podcast.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
For me, it was interesting because not to toot my horn, because I was for 15 plus years the other way. That's why we've created a platform like this to help educate. Yeah. She's educating, I'm educating. Like, anybody can be an educator.
Yeah.
But it's hard to educate if you're not walking the walk.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like my mess has become, I kind of hate this cliche, my message, but like same, like you have to know how much pain you were in before, struggling to just pay the rent. And if you were to take a vacation, like worrying that you couldn't pay your $300 booth rent because, this or that, or, I can't take that week off because I can't afford my rent otherwise. Like,
yeah.
If you're there's enough to go around, and it can be a lucrative business where you can make at least 6 figures. And have multiple streams of revenue coming in too.
Absolutely.
So like you have 2 jobs basically in the industry, and then little legs off of each of them too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think in this time while we're still closed, what would you say to someone who's like on the fence and they're like, I really want to get into education, but like I don't know, like I don't really know what I would teach, like I've always just been behind the chair, I'm kind of good at this and that, like what direction could you give them right now if they're just even a little bit interested?
Yeah, so one, I would say focus on, just like when you're branding yourself on social media, right? You can be good at a lot of things, but there's one true thing that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? And we know that.
Yep.
Right? So focus on that. You know, whether you want to educate independently or for a brand, start creating videos.
Videos, okay.
Getting comfortable
talking in front of the camera.
Talking in front of the camera and just practice.
Okay.
You know, and then will it to yourself. You know,
put it in the universe.
Put it out there, and you're like, this is what I want to do, and say it every single day, but also work towards it.
Yes.
You know, so whether you want to work for a brand, contact that brand. You know, with Redken, there's a long process to becoming an artist for Redken.
Okay.
You know, but there's steps to it.
Yep.
So if anybody's interested in that, I can help them.
Perfect.
Right, along the way. But if you want to do, you know, like podcast or, you know, I know I'm going to have Sherry from Belserine. Like she is starting to want to get into more helping coaching.
Yes.
You know, you had Lexi on.
Yes.
And she's doing like the business side of it. You are too.
Yes.
You know, and it's like these people are just working their ass off, you know, and they eat, sleep, breathe it every single day.
Right.
And so there's no easy way to become an educator.
Yeah.
You have to will it to yourself and you have to want it.
I love that.
You know?
And that's the thing about being consistent. Like I feel like, you know, just showing up once or just inquiring once isn't going to get you the answer you're looking for. I feel like seeing where she's at now, you might think, oh, I can just apply and I'm good. I'm probably as good as she is. And, you know, yeah, I can be an educator. But the problem is we're so worried about, or we're not aware that there's a process to it.
Right.
So if you just take step one, if you just apply and inquire about what there is to do, like I think working for big companies like that can set you up if you ever want to be independent and have your own education. You know, it's like if you want to own a restaurant but you've never washed dishes in a restaurant. It's same thing. Like we talk about scrubbing floors when we started out. Like I couldn't have imagined opening a salon, even though Lexi did share that story about how she was a salon owner first and then became a stylist. She's like rare, I feel like.
Yeah.
But she had it background with her grandmother owned salon.
Sure.
So it's like she knew the business side of it. So she was like, no matter what business I'm running, I'm going to make it successful.
Right.
So she had systems and structures in place, which is very different than what we normally hear.
Yeah.
Usually you have the creative who just wants a free space and you want people to have good energy and like, well, that's great. How are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to make sure that your revenue numbers are where they're supposed to be? Can you read a spreadsheet? Do you even know what these are all things that I, for years, was like, I don't do that. I'm not techie.
I'm a hairdresser.
I'm a creative. I have money in my account at the end of it. I'm good. Like
I don't need to sell retail.
No.
I'm creative.
No, you buy that Pantene, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not a saleswoman. I do not sell.
Right.
It wasn't until I did this mastermind like a year and a half ago that they were like, if you have a business or a brand, you are the product. Like, first of all, you're selling yourself, so you better like
100%.
sit up tall and learn how to like start talking, especially on social media. It's been around for 10 years now. Like you are the service, you are the product.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing something on someone that you know they could benefit from taking care of it, it is your duty to share that product with them.
100%. I will say this statistic is really sad and it's still current. 91% of guests do not buy retail from their stylists.
Are you serious?
I'm
91?
Dead serious.
That's crazy.
And 71% have never been recommended a product.
Wow.
So the problem is that we're not talking about it.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem. That actually leads me into a segue, which I don't know your back history on this because I don't have much like knowledge in this either. But now that we've gone virtual, or been in lockdown, a lot of companies are now doing direct to ship.
Yeah.
Where stylists can recommend a product. Say you come in, you're my client. I can't get you the product, but I recommend you go to my link and you can click buy the Olaplex and they'll ship it to you. And I get something like a 30% commission on that.
Yeah.
So that's been great.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, if you're a salon owner, that's not great because you're no longer making that revenue. And if that used to be somewhere around 60% of a salon's revenue was off of sales, I don't know what that number is now.
I don't have the statistic on that. And I do agree with you. But the reason why they have these third party and e-commerce is because of the statistics of
that 9% are buying product from. That's fucked up.
That nobody is buying retail, and it's such a vast world of social media, instant gratification.
Right.
That's why Amazon's so prevalent and all that. So the solution to the professional is these type of businesses. Direct to ship. Like Redken, we have one. You know, it's shop with a stylist, and it's through hair.com, you know, and they do the 30%. Mm-hmm. It's the same with all these brands.
Yeah.
Because it's a smart business, you know. So yes, we want to, as a brand, give the money to the owner. Mm-hmm. But in the reality of that, you know, would you rather get 30% or no percent because your stylists aren't really recommending product? Anyways.
Right.
But yes, it is imperative, you know, that in order to keep a salon business thriving, retail they're not making the money off of booth renters or commission. Well, we can't do commission, but, you know, like hourly stylists.
Right.
You know, you're making your money, your business is thriving from retail sales.
Yep.
You know, so that's so important.
That's so important.
And it's one of those topics that a lot of people don't like to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because I was that stylist.
Same.
I was like, why would I need to sell retail? You know, we're professionals, right? So it's almost like when you go see your doctor and they write your prescription for things that you need, right? If somebody's investing in their hair, you know, 200 plus, everybody has to shampoo their hair.
Well, my favorite analogy is a little bit even more like if you have a client who has bald tires, are you going to suggest that they drive away with those bald tires? Or are you going to give them a treatment that's going to make it better? Are you going to suggest they get 2 new tires?
Right.
Like, oh, you know, that's like a treatment. That's like an in-salon, like sell them a mask and the proper shampoo. Like, I never had analogies shown to me like that. I always just heard numbers like, oh, well, if you sell to your guests, they're this much percentage, you know, likely to come back to your chair. And I was like, oh, my clients come back anyways. But I think I did sell more retail than I give myself credit for back in the day because we had a great front desk staff that helped push that and would seal the deal and close it all that for me.
Wrap it up in a bow.
Yep. Or have it all ready.
Yeah.
But I think what's happening now is so many people are in solo spaces where it's a little bit more intimate and it's a little bit more like, Kate, now pay me my service and here's $200 in product.
Right.
And for some reason, I was there. It feels weird and icky to charge $200-$300 for your service and then make them spend another $200 or $300 on product. The best thing I was ever told was you don't determine how your client wants to spend their money.
Yeah. Don't determine their pocketbook.
No.
You know.
Maybe they like to eat mac and cheese every night and can totally afford, you know, $80 worth of product today. Regardless, like beauty is something that is I don't know, $billion business if I'm right.
Yeah, it's a multi-billion dollar
business.
People spend, even in a recession, people spend money on
personal
luxury,
care.
personal care. They want to feel good about themselves.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
God.
And here's another statistic.
I love that you know all these.
Well, only because of, you know, I teach these business classes for Redken. But one, it really like hit my heart a little bit. Within 48 hours of a guest leaving your salon, they go somewhere else and purchase product that's not professionally recommended by their hairdresser.
No way.
Yeah. So they're buying products somewhere else, right? And the why, like, so I always say, start the conversation in your consultation. Make it a habit.
Right.
Start talking about retail from the minute they sit in your chair.
Let's do a little mock scenario on that. Okay. So I'm your new guest. I was referred by so-and-so and I'm in your chair for the first time.
Yeah.
I just sat down. Hi.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
So you always want to start with a positive, like, it's so nice to meet you. You know, compliment their hair. Like, I love the tone of your hair. Like, you know, I see that you're here for color. Then always ask about what is the one thing, like, if they could change their hair, like, or have a goal in mind, what would it be?
My hair's really fine and it's a little bit damaged because I bleach it, and I just want it to look healthy.
Yeah. So see, you strike up this open-ended, right? Ask open-ended questions.
Okay.
And then the answer comes out of them. So then I'm saying you have fine hair, right? So now I'm going to say, okay, let's address this, because as a hairdresser, your guest is coming to you with a problem, and you have a solution.
Yes.
Fantastic. I actually have a solution. I have the shampoo that actually has sugar crystals that will plump the cuticle, right? And make your hair feel fuller, in sense, giving you volume. And it's for color treated hair. So
perfect.
So we'll go ahead and make sure that we use that on you today.
Absolutely. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when you're at the lather lounge or shampoo area, whatever you like to call it, I'm using this, right? We talked about it. This is what it's going to do. Okay? Then you bring the shampoo back to your chair and right now, COVID, probably you don't want them to touch it, but present it in front of them.
Okay.
Right? When they're holding something, it's like possession.
Okay.
Like once they have it in their hands, they're going to want it. Right?
Perfect.
And then don't be afraid to walk your guests up. It depends on the situation. So if you have a receptionist, don't just put your ticket and all the products up the front, right? Walk them up, thank them. And it's the power of 3, right, for products. So say, okay, these are the 5 must-haves that I used on you, right? But if you were, these are the 5 products I used on you, but these are the 3 must-haves, right? So you're giving them an option.
I love that. People love options.
Yeah, and then same with like retail, you should have different tiers.
Okay.
Right?
So how would you discover which tier they might fall under? Is that just paying attention to the things they talk to you about in their chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
So because in your consultation, you're going to discuss your beauty budget.
Right. Are they a student? Are they a doctor?
Yeah.
Like, you'll know.
Yeah. So you can have like that luxury tier, and then have a mid, and then have a lower one.
Perfect.
Right? All great professional products, but give them the options.
Love that.
So that's what I would say.
I love that. Those are great tips. Okay. No excuses now. So we got to start implementing that. And I'm still behind the chair stylist a couple days a week. So I'm going to try that out, and I will let you guys know how my retail sales go, because for someone who's running a salon, who's busy behind the chair, who actually has my 8-year-old running behind us as we're doing this filming right now.
He's so cute.
You're holding it together again. He is. I tell him all the time, good thing you're cute, kid.
Yeah, right.
I don't follow through with that as much as I should. I have clients I've had for years, and I'm not having that new consultation with them anymore. And if they just happen to mention that they want product, I definitely seal the deal there. But I'm definitely not as diligent as I used to be.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
I'm still.
What, you're not perfect?
No, right? Who wants to be?
No, that's no fun.
But we're constantly evolving and growing.
Yeah.
And so I educate because it reminds myself that I need to put these into practice.
Yes.
If as soon as practice makes permanent. So the more you talk about retail, the more it just becomes a habit.
Totally.
Right?
I love that.
And that's what it's about. And don't short your guests that you've had for 20 years. And I'm just saying this because I need to do it too.
Same.
I have these guests that I've had for 20 years, and to be honest, I'm guilty of it. I go to the personal stuff. Okay. How are you?
Right.
How are you feeling? But then when a new guest sits in my chair, I go through the consultation, and it should be the same with everybody.
Totally. Totally.
So.
I know. Let's shake on that. Let's make a deal that we're gonna
hold each other accountable.
Yes, and we're going to treat our old time clients the same way we treat the new ones. I love that. Okay. Ask better questions, you'll get better answers for sure. And ask open-ended questions. I love that.
Open-ended questions, and then just the power of asking.
Right.
Like my husband and I, we go to hotel resorts or whatever, and I learned this from a personal development training I went to. This his name was Blair Singer, and the one thing that resonated, you talked about this, if you gathered one thing from something, some training, it was worth your time. So the one thing that I really got and resonated with me is he said, just ask. The answer's 50% yes and 50% no, really.
Yep.
Just by asking, so we do that all the time when we're traveling. I will ask for an upgrade, and sometimes they'll upgrade us, and sometimes they won't.
Yep.
But I'm not going to stop asking just because one person said no to me.
That's funny. I do that for flights. I don't do it for other things, but I do it for flights. Yeah. Okay. Game on. It's gonna be a game
just
now.
Ask.
Let's see how many asks we can do in a week, and we'll report. I asked 20 times and I got 3 yeses.
Yeah.
What's your stats?
Right.
See, make things fun. Things that don't normally sound fun or don't bring you joy like you think. This will, like having a little challenge, like that's why collaboration with other people, we don't have to collaborate and do each other's clients or do hair together or any of that, but like check in. You know, having accountability is huge. And I feel like when you don't think anyone's paying attention, that's when we slack off. Yeah. You know, like if someone was paying attention to your numbers, I had a manager back in the day at my old big salon, and he would walk around with a checklist with your name on it.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. We should give him a shout out, but he would have a list of everyone in the salon's name, your retail, what you've sold, and we had to hit a certain goal every week in order to get the baseline booth rent. If you didn't hit that number, you paid a higher booth rent. If you did hit that number, you could stay at the normal booth rent. And then if you hit a certain number in total for the month, I believe you got a percentage off your first week rent. Yes. Okay. So it was a good system that he had, and he did it in good faith to say, hey, you're at, $560, you only need to sell 2 products today. Yeah. He would even suggest it's this, and this, and you're good. But if you want to go above and beyond, you're number 10 on the list today. And then there was also one bigger giveaway that they did, a free parking space every month. So you got it for the whole month.
That's huge.
And I think if you hit there was tiers to it. So if you sold 1,000, you got a bigger percentage on your commit. So there's ways that if you're running a bigger business, you can still incentivize your stylist to do that. But it was a great challenge. It used to piss me off I'd be like, why are you going around telling everybody people's numbers? But at the end of the day, it made me step my game up. Yeah. And I was always appreciative when he would make sure I hit that number.
Right. If it's set in paper, right?
Yeah.
You can visualize it, and you set SMART goals, right? Like we all set these like goals in January. I don't do them anymore because I'm like, I never stick to it.
Right.
But if I say, okay, for the month of September, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, and I check it off and I write it into my calendar.
Yep.
Then it's more attainable.
Totally.
And that you could do in your business too.
Right. Like
that's kind of what he was doing.
This many guests this week, and I want to ask the question to everyone. If I get a 50% yes.
Oh my gosh.
The retail that your numbers are probably 10x.
Yeah.
If 9% you're only buying, if we just put that into everybody's like that.
Yeah. It's a lot of money when you think about it. You know, we teach I teach this class on add-on services, right? And everybody, we have shades money, Redken, right? Everybody uses shades. Yep. I go into salons all day long. They may not use anything else from Redken, but they definitely use Shades EQ.
Right.
Gloss, And so I talked to them like, are you charging for that service? And most people aren't.
Wow.
But it's a separate service, right? So I'm like, okay, well, if you already have this guest sitting in your chair and you're not charging, if you charge or you ask if they want a gloss, and 50% say yes, and say you have 4 guests that day, that's 2 that say yes, and then say you charge $40, I'm just saying, that's an additional $80 for that one day. Now take that 80 and times it by however many days you work, and then times that by 4. You're looking at like $1,000
a month. And let's just be honest, if you add $40 onto someone's service tab and then they hit the 20% button for the tip, that just went up too. So it's a residual effect to putting the work in. Yeah. And when you show up consistently, like to make an extra $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 more a year.
Who doesn't like to make money?
If you put that $1,000 away a month into a retirement plan, no matter what age you're starting, that's really what we're talking about. I mean, we could talk about this kind of stuff all day. I love all of this, like tools and tips that you have. Yeah. So if you guys, how do we find you on social media? If someone wants to take a class with you, like where can we get more of you?
Well, thank you. So my Instagram name is Shonna.
Spell it for them.
I know. S as in Sam, HONN, so Nancy, A, 619 Education. I know it's long, guys.
We'll put it in the show notes. Don't worry. You don't have to memorize it.
But
Shonna 619.
Yeah. Education.
Education.
Yeah. And that's what I added. Like that was the silly thing when I started my journey with social media, is really putting in your username, right? What you do.
Yeah.
Right? And so I literally am from San Diego, so that's where the 619 came from.
Yep.
And then I was like, I'll just add education because, people know you by a certain name.
Right.
So, but it's so silly.
But you've established yourself as the expert in education because you've put it into your name. So that's something like the power of social media. It seems so small and just like a whatever name, but there was like purpose behind adding that to your name.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like, mine is just my name, but when you click on it, I'm the beauty business mentor. Like, you don't want to put your name in two different places. So you want that's prime real estate right there on your bio. So that's a whole nother thing we could probably teach on, but you actually have a class for Instagram and social media. So that's something that you guys could take advantage of too.
Absolutely. There's a ton of resources, because I am a full-time educator for Redken. I support the stylist with education. So Redken allows me to do complimentary classes, which is amazing. Wow. And, I also have classes with other full-time educators on Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite /Redken, you'll see a ton of free education.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Free. Hello. Yeah,
free.
That's amazing.
Free techniques, business building, social media, foundation. So it's really cool.
No excuses. So if you are in California and you are still locked down, take advantage of this free education.
Yeah.
Because everything you're saying is gold. And if you just implement just a few of these things that you shared today, I'm sure your business is going to, triple, especially when we can get back to work. And those of you who are able to work, this is your challenge this week, whenever you're listening to us, is to start implementing the question. Ask. Because the answer is going to be 50% yes. I mean, it's yes or no, right?
Right.
And if it's a no, that's even a good segue as to why not? What are you using? Dive a little bit deeper, because sometimes people's gut reaction is to say no. No to everything. And then once they realize the mission behind it, what you're actually trying to help them create a transformation, they're more likely to say yes. Oh, show me what you had again. And you're like, oh, I thought it was a no, but of course, here it is.
Yeah, it may take 10 times.
But at least talking about it 3 times throughout the service gives them an opportunity to say, no, thank you. Oh, no, I'm good. And wait, what was that again? Yeah. Like, their story can change between 2 hours, 3 hours that you're sitting there.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Once they don't see that just off the jump you're trying to peddle product, they'll know. They're, okay, she did just spend 3 hours. I did just spend $300 on my hair. I probably should take home some stuff.
You got to invest in your investment.
Yes.
Right?
You got to invest in your investment.
Right.
And your best investment is yourself and knowing your business. So get the free education. Stay tuned for more episodes from the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast. It was so great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's do it again.
Okay.
Sounds good. And challenge accepted on the stepping it up with our clients.
Let's hold each other accountable.
I love that. Okay. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.